Hey guys, what's up? I am here to give you guys a recap on the new episode of Vinland Saga, which is on episode 10. Now, this episode right here looks relaxing, although not too relaxing depending how you look at it. But when I looked at the discussions of what people were talking about in this episode, they say one scene was cut out, which is something that was explicit, but I don't think it's really much has a lot of importance in it, depending how it is in Thorfinn's character, but it all depends how you picture it or if you find it important or not. But anyways, let's just get this started. We have to it that Thorfinn himself was actually having a dream, but not before we get the scene where we see Thor Kill being a freaking catapult. And you guys might be asking me, what do you mean Thor Kill's being a catapult? What I mean by that, if you watch the episode, he is literally throwing rocks with his bare hands like baseball pitches, dude. Like, he's bombarding the camp with freaking rocks right now, and and he's trying to provoke the army that's like trying to make the siege on London. But apparently Canute, which is the prince, is not making any move at all, which is something that to my shock, which is really surprising me in a certain sense. But aside from that, we get to see a scene with Thorfinn having a dream, and seeing his mother, his sister, and later on he sees his father. Later on, the dream will later end after Thor will try to tell his son to go home and give up your path of revenge. But later, yeah, the dream will end where someone gets raided and Thorfinn can only look on in horror to see his father pierced by arrows, and Thorfinn wakes up. Eventually, he will later wake himself up in a farm or a barn and then walk out and go to a certain location in peace and quiet. There was some rowdiness happening in this episode where someone insulted another and they end up fighting each other to a death and the other one is killed. That much I could just tell you about. And later on, as the episode continues on with itself, we see to it that there's a scene with Askeladd and Thorfinn talking to each other. But Thorfinn tells Askeladd not to get so comfortable with him, and ends up having a little argument and saying that I'm gonna slit your throat someday, and that will all end. Eventually, Askeladd says, "Yeah, that's gonna happen because I'm gonna get too old. You're gonna continue to grow, and there's no helping it. Time is on your side." Eventually, Askeladd gives a history lesson to Thorfinn, something involving with the Romans and then the Savans, and eventually that fraction of another army to the Roman Empire will later on overpower them, and now it's our turn to overpower them. In other terms, he says something about the past is the past, etc., and there were other scenes involved having to talk about Ragnarok, which is the title of this episode. Which is the title of this episode in a certain way. Well, it is the title of this episode, but aside from that, Askeladd knows that twilight is upon us, or a time will soon come upon when we have to accept death or something. But I don't know. I guess the way how I perceive it must be very strange. But aside from that, we see a messenger on horseback trying to talk to Askeladd and his crew, saying that Canute has been captured by Thor Kill and their army is barbarous. And we get to see a scene which many people say that it's original filler or something like that to the adaptation of Vinland Saga, which I think it's pretty cool to see Thor Kill's strength and his army. I mean, he only took 500 men, and they literally just annihilated the army down to 400 men left or something, which is what the messenger tries to say. He says he's trying to meet up with the army, he could use some backup, but Askeladd, on the other hand, cuts up the guy's head and says, "This is our chance now, man. If we capture it's time that we rescue Prince Canute and find out who could give us the better reward, etc." Which I go well, that's Askeladd for you, especially when he has an army of men he's trying to take care of. But aside from that, we see to it that Bjorn's like, what's gonna happen, you know? Do you have any idea what we're facing up against? It's Thor Kill. And Askeladd's like, well, we don't really know how this is gonna go, but one thing for sure, it's gonna be tense for the time being, you know? So pretty much Askeladd does not have a plan against Thorkel, especially we know that Thorkel is a freaking monster. Even many people has been telling me that this guy's a demon in a certain way, and Twilight is about to be upon us, and it's time to go out with a big bang. And therefore, Thorfinn can only look on in solemn and look at the sunlight, getting ready for battle in the future times. That's about it. Anyways, this episode was actually pretty fun. I mean, like, not a lot has been happening, but the scene with Askeladd and Thorfinn must be really important because, like, you know, despite Thorfinn having his antagonizing hatred towards Askeladd, and it's surprising, it's no big surprise if anything. He's still on the verge of still trying to kill him until he like does so. He won't find peace. But that scene between Askeladd and Thorfinn, I believe, is going to be very important. I mean, like many people I saw in the discussion saying that like between Thorfinn and Askeladd, it's starting to take a new direction, which I won't say here. I mean, if you guys been watching Vinland Saga, then you guys may have an idea what they are talking about. But aside from that, yeah, pretty cool episode, relaxing, nothing much happening. Thorkill being a boss as always. Never thought that guy's a monster, and to think that he's a real historic figure, that's even more scary. Okay, that's enough for me rambling on. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Alpha Zero, people. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!